Today we've got Anthony Puzzo. I think many of you know Anthony. He's an Esri employee that has graced our presence at SHRUG many times, and we appreciate his participation with us today. He's got a really cool presentation. I'm looking forward to it. Valuable trends for GIS in government, something I'm kind of interested in. Jokingly, very interested. So, Anthony, I think I wanted to ask you the questions. Do you want to answer questions throughout the presentation, or you want to just wait to do it at the end?
You could throw them out. I mean, if I get questions like in the moment, yeah, you could throw them over. I don't mind answering them.
Okay, so I'll break in from time to time if there's any questions, and then what we'll do is toward the end. So your session goes to 1:45, and unfortunately, it's a hard stop. So we'll probably have to start taking questions at about maybe 1:40 at the latest.
Okay.
So what I can break in to remind you of the time, or I'll put a note in for you.
Okay.
You got a PowerPoint?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. If you want to get that up, and then I'm going to go and hand the baton over to you when you're ready.
Yep. Just getting set up here.
No problem.
Okay. Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right.
Let's see. Share screen.
Okay.
Do you have to promote me to like a?
Yep. So I'm going to hand it over to you as the presenter now.
Okay.
And you will be able to control your mute and screen function.
It's asking me to quit. I got to quit and join back in.
Okay.
To present.
Oh.
So can you promote me back in? Sorry.
Yeah.
Scott, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So I got
should
you.
Be all set now.
Okay. I got you in here as a presenter and a panelist. So.
All right. Can you see how many do we have? How many people do we have on here?
We've got 47.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah, it's a good number.
See. Share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I appreciate you joining us. Really kind of missing not being in Tallahassee for SHRUG this year. Like many of you, I'm working from my home today, and what I want to talk about today at SHRUG is just three key trends that we're seeing in state and local government, and this is really on the heels of our user conference this year. Hopefully you were able to attend that. We had over 90,000 people join virtually here our conference, which was pretty amazing. And even though we're really missing not being together with everybody, this is really kind of opening up access to these kind of conferences and information to really the rest of the organizations. I know we had some organizations that sent like 50, 60, 70 people to the conference, and it really helps kind of level up everybody's knowledge about what the capabilities are. And so on the heels of user conference and really the heels of 2020, what I want to go through is really just three key takeaways that we're seeing in state and local government, and some stuff that we're seeing really kind of change really fast, and and be applied to some really important initiatives going on. So my three key takeaways is really one around just web apps in action, how the GIS platform is really being applied for some really important situations like COVID and wildfires and earthquakes and hurricanes and elections, and how that's really kind of driving interest and growing that spatial knowledge across the board. I'm going to talk about some innovations in field work. This is one of our fastest growing areas of just the GIS platform, is really taking that information out to the field. And then what we're doing with the next kind of generation of desktop, actually really the next generation of GIS, and what's going on beyond that. So that's kind of my three key takeaways there. So the first one I want to start is really just web apps in action. It just wouldn't be a slide in 2020 without really talking about COVID. Obviously, this is affecting all of us every single day now, and now we're in this like second or third kind of wave, whatever you want to call it now. But you know, through this, we're seeing some really interesting patterns on how people are using GIS and GIS technology to really kind of tell the story about what's going on. Johns Hopkins University, they built this dashboard in about December, January last year, really when this thing just started kind of taking off in China. And then now we've seen over 1 trillion views of access. Back in April, it was getting 1 billion hits a day on this dashboard, and it's really a testament to globally how data sharing is happening now. And it's also showing how simple it can be by building a map and building some simple integers and growth patterns about how you can see things and what's going on in not only the world, but your own neighborhood. There's a couple of people who did some really interesting things. I'm going to go through a case study of the state of Maryland on just what they wanted to do and taking the lessons learned out of the Johns Hopkins dashboard, how they wanted to apply it to their own way that they're going to present the information and present that information to Marylanders and also to their partners. They had 5 key things that they really wanted to do, and this is back in early March, about when they're thinking about what they want to do to communicate what's going on in the state. One, they want to be transparent in the state's response. They wanted to have the most information out there as they could, and they wanted to centralize that from multiple partners. They also wanted to facilitate data sharing through this an open, interoperable platform to promote data decision making and authoritative data use and access. And then they wanted to just clearly visualize the reality of the situation, what's going on with what they had on hand. Through those goals, what they came up with was, hey, we're going to use Esri's Arcgis Hub as the main platform to share a coronavirus.maryland.gov site. They took a risk. They took a leap of faith. They're like, you know what? We want to centralize where we have the data, and they had all the data in Arcgis Online and for the presenting. So they created this hub site. The state GIO there created this on March 12th. They did this testing and they launched it March 14th. Pretty amazing when you think about, this is going to be the main focus of this. Since then, they've had over 10 million users now. This slide's a few weeks dated, and now up to about 55 to 60 million page views of their system, and it's all completely hosted in Arcgis Online. Really helps with scalability and just overall access. And some of the main pieces they have in this site is the dashboard. They update this every day at 10 a.m. This started out with just the county view, and now they have the zip code view. They have testing results in here. They have these really nice graphs and charts to show 14-day trends on what's going on in the area. So this really applies to centralizing that information and being transparent about it. Then they want to have centrally access that data. So this is part of the open data platform. So through this system, you can actually go and search those different data layers. So if you're looking for case data or testing results or whatever, this is linked to the actual live data set. So you can download the data, you can access it through APIs, and you can make your own applications from it. This is also really important when the state is looking at partnering with either the regional partners or their county partners, local partners. Now, Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County can use the same information the state's using for their own purposes and put their own local context around it. This was a really big step because now the locals don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. So that was a really important step in using those web apps. And then they went ahead and they looked at, okay, how can we put the best testing information out there? So they create a page in their hub site all around testing. Then they use the new Nearby app, which is a new configurable app in Arcgis Online, to look at testing locations. So they configured all the testing locations. This goes to walk-ups and drive-throughs and Walgreens and all that kind of stuff into one application, and you can create a buffer, and you can even schedule appointments through this web application completely hosted in Arcgis Online. And now they have a lot of information on their contact tracing. So they have dashboards, even dashboards without a map, like this contact tracing activities one, where they're looking at just the amount of contact tracing happening in certain locations. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a map, it just could have that same kind of context. So they're sort of building this out. And this is going to be another focus for them going forward. Esri also used Arcgis Hub to communicate this, and this has been very popular since we got started with this. A great way of centralizing apps and data and access to data. One thing I think that Esri did really well through this is solidified some connections with our data partners. Our data partners like Facebook and SafeGraph, Blue Dot, those are really important for showing social distancing data really early on, and we have free access to that data through this platform. And we're also communicating what everybody else is doing, so you can get some ideas about what's going on. And then we have our own applications in here, like this COVID Pulse application that you see that shows pulse lines or trend lines going for each county in the US. And so that's really important. And now we have a lot of information here on using GIS for vaccine distribution. So where am I, using GIS to show where my vulnerable populations are, where my distribution sites are, what my supply chain is, how to get access to that, and all that kind of information that comes with it. And this is kind of new for a lot of people, especially in public health. I mean, public health's been a long time user of GIS, but really this pervasive where it's kind of getting across the whole organization, this is a new thing. Another new thing that Esri's, I think, done really well through this is really capitalize on what we're doing with solution templates and applying that to just crisis management in general. So we have these for COVID apps, and everything you see around the border here are all different solution templates, looking at recovery, so testing sites and recovery dashboards. For response, looking at the dashboard itself and testing and PPE inventory and vaccine distribution, looking at situational awareness about where hospital capacity could be and alternate care management, and looking at your business process and looking at how do I get people returned to work safely, and how do I do that indoor mapping or facility or space management effectively, or reporting on our bathrooms and conference centers on the cleanliness of them. All of those are packaged up into these solution templates. These are all free to use. They're on our solutions gallery and in our hub site, and they're all starter kits for how you can do those. And how all these things are possible is that we have these kind of collection of app builders that allow you to build these apps quicker, faster, cheaper, so you're not spending time coding or doing other things, and you can use a variety of these different web app builders or app studios or mobile apps. And we have this new experience builder, which is, if you're going to spend time on a new kind of builder application right now, I would highly recommend using Experience Builder to do that. We have this really cool app here, this Living Atlas Vital Signs. If you go to the Living Atlas website, you'll see this. It's almost like a dashboard of dashboards, and shows all of the Living Atlas data and different components about how you can see that in a new way. So Experience Builder, this is kind of like the next generation of Web App Builder, although Web App Builder is not going anywhere, but this is like that next generation. So you can have you can have all these different widgets, and you can have a 2D or 3D view and different galleries of information, different configurations. So you can build your app from scratch, or you can start with a couple of templates and then drop in these widgets. These widgets could be tools, they could be different images or galleries that you want to access that, and then you could pull that out and look at the actual deployment about how you're building those things and see what they look like on different mobile devices. This has been heavily used during COVID. The Florida dashboard is using this. They're actually using an operations dashboard, and then they're using Experience Builder to configure the mobile view of this dashboard. So when you go to the mobiles, when you access the Florida COVID dashboard on a mobile device, you see a big number here with a map below it, and that's really all you see, because that's what was designed for that mobile view. So there's different ways that you can kind of design those dashboards with Experience Builder for mobile access. And then we're seeing Experience Builder kind of being used across the board, just to kind of tell a bunch of different stories, whether it's building, using Experience Builder within Hub to kind of tailor that experience of Hub, or different business processes like planning activities, or looking at directories in Inventory 6. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use Experience Builder today. And really, Experience Builder is just one of the tools in the toolbox that the Arcgis platform delivers. We're still making a lot of strides with story maps and configurable applications, and dashboards are very popular. Hub sites are a great way to kind of glue everything together. And Web App Builder is still popular to build out map-based applications. You can use all of these different apps in our solution templates. So these solution templates are a great way to showcase different starter kits. And one way we used them this year, just recently, was in the state of Georgia elections. Back in August, we helped them with their runoff that they had in August, and they had a kind of an issue with wait times at different locations. And not only did they have an issue with wait times, but they didn't really know where the wait times were. So we helped them deploy some of our wait time election and polling place applications that are built in with our solution templates. We configure those within a week to deploy them in the runoff. And then we also use those in the main election just a couple weeks ago to showcase all of the polling places. So you can see the polling places, the wait times, and now the Secretary of State's office has a holistic view about what's going on in there. So really, really interesting way of just taking configurable applications, applying them to a specific problem, and then coming up with a result very quickly. This really helps to save time and money on building these applications with no code or low code type effort. All these solution templates are available to you at no cost. There's all different kinds of these applications for transportation and natural resources, water utilities, elections, telecom. I would go and explore some of these, and what we've done new to the solution templates, they're all available now to deploy in a SaaS environment, a software as a service environment. You used to have to download these templates and then launch them on your own organization, your own web tier, but now you can deploy them all within Arcgis Online natively. So that's a pretty big development there. You don't need any desktop or downloadable applications to do that. So go ahead and you can test that out. I'm not going to go through that video. All right, the second main trend is really the innovations in field work that's happening right now. One thing that Esri provides through ArcGIS is this complete platform for field operations. Whether you're coordinating your team, I got 5 people, they have to collect 500 signs around the city. How do I coordinate that effort? How do I plan out that effort over time so I can get them at a depreciated rate or whatever? How do I navigate my people to collect that information to the actual location of that, not just the address? And so you can use Navigator for ArcGIS to do that. how can I just get those maps out to people in just a read-only view? And I don't need them to edit anything. I just want them to be able to see those maps online, offline. There's Explorer to do that. And then how do I get them to capture information quickly in the field? Well, we have a couple different options for that with Collector, Survey 123, and Quick Capture. Collector allows you to do that map-based data collection. Survey 123 allows you to do that form-based data collection. And Quick Capture allows you to have big buttons and pictures and do observations very quickly. And then how do I monitor all that, whether wrapping that into a dashboard or actually seeing where my people are in the field and tracking their components? You do that with Tracker. Well, we have a couple of new components to this whole field operations app. One is really incorporating drones into this whole mixture. And this has been very popular as a way to complete this field operations section using drones to get information in and out of the field and use that in a timely basis. You might be aware of a product that Esri's had for a couple of years now called Drone to Map, which does exactly what it says the name does. It takes drone information and it maps it. Takes those DEMs, the imagery, the ortho imagery, the LiDAR information, and allows you to, in a single deployment, you could fly your drone, you could take that data, you could publish it in Arcgis Online or Arcgis Desktop and manipulate that the way you want. A new thing is called Site Scan. So this is how I could take a team of people, a team of drone operators, and plan out their flights. So I need to have 50 places collected. Let's call them construction sites. So I need to have 50 construction sites collected. How do I divvy up that workload? How do I automatically do the flight plan? So when that person gets to that location, that construction site, they hit go, it flies that pattern over the area, and it can automatically upload that ortho imagery and those pictures to the cloud, so that's accessible when you get back to the office in your Arcgis Online account. So really different innovations here of how you can do this. And this is all possible through, we actually acquired a new company last year, actually a part of a company called 3DR, and the Site Scan that you can do flight planning activities and cloud-based ortho imagery. What that Site Scan allows you to do is really map out your locations. You hit plan. You can do a variety of different planning activities of how you want to collect those at different locations. As you get to the location, the drone flies it, and then it automatically uploads that data into the cloud, and then you get access throughout the platform of that imagery. So that post-processing is done in the cloud and it can get delivered to you at your desk or at your web browser. So really innovative and a great way of kind of using that medium to deliver information. And the next thing I want to talk about, and Lakeisha is actually going to do a deeper dive on this in the next hour at SHRUG, is really on how we're capturing that information in the field. And what we've done here is we've listened to our user base and we've combined a lot of the apps that we have for those different functionalities. We put them into one application called Arcgis Field Maps. I'm not going to go into that too deep here. Please join Lakeisha's presentation after this at 2 o'clock, and you can learn all about that. But this is a brand new way of building all that best of breed apps into one application, so you can do that all in one place. And now we're taking that kind of field operations has lots of observations and lots of data components to it. So how do you analyze all that stuff and how do you make sense of it all? And this doesn't have to be mobile devices. This could be any kind of sensor information. It could be your AVL data from your cars or trucks or buses. It could be weather sensors. It could be water gauges out in the field. It could be social media information. It could be airplanes, whatever that highly transactional information is. How do you take that and use that with the rest of your apps? So we've had two products, one called Geoevent and one called GeoAnalytics. These are server-based products. Geoevent does that real-time, highly transactionable information. And Geoanalytics does that big data processing where you can do, billions to billions joins on your servers and deliver that information with the rest of your orgs. One thing that's new that's out now is called Arcgis Velocity. This is a software as a service application that combines the capabilities of Geoevent server and Geoanalytics. And now you can write streaming applications, streaming data, and write the analytics that wants to go with it. So if you want to analyze all of your snowplow or maybe any of your vehicles out in the field, and you want to tell me when they reach over a certain amount of speed or when they cross into a certain boundary, you can schedule all that with Arcgis Velocity and not have to have all those raw servers. This is also our first real product that's leveraging enterprise in a Kubernetes or microservices environment, which that is something that's coming out next year. That'll be more of a cloud native deployment for Arcgis Enterprise. So my third key takeaway is really that next generation GIS and how we're building up to this fully functional, connected desktop, connected GIS system that's connected and interoperable with other systems. And really, the first piece of that is really content. Whether it's your content or somebody else's content, it's content. And one thing that Esri is doing is we're spending a lot of resources to get more and more content, great, high quality, high res content into your Arcgis Online or portal environment. So whether that's weather feeds or COVID cases or air quality information, stream gauges, whether it's live data or cache data, we're expanding that use of content to you to help you do things better, faster, cheaper. We're also have data for a lot of different initiatives. We have a brand new initiative for social equity, and this is a hub site that allows you to get access to data, historical data and up-to-line data on things like income disparities and health outcomes and other things. So there's lots of different demographic information out here that's at your fingertips that is ready to use. And all this is accessible in Arcgis Pro. This is our modern desktop platform. I hope you would be learning to use this new desktop application. It's not actually new. It's actually been out for 5 or 6 years now. But really, we're in a place now where we are one-to-one level, actually probably +1 to ArcMap. And if you haven't seen some of the blogs that have come up lately, this next release, this latest release with ArcMap will be our last one. It'll still be supported into 2026, so you still have, a couple of years to figure that out. But Pro is where we're putting all of our resources in, and we're adding even more functionality, even outside of the typical GIS functions. We're adding things like notebooks into Pro, and machine learning libraries and machine learning tools and deep learning tools right into the desktop, so you don't have to go and write all that. Sorry. One of the new capabilities that we have is called Locate XT. This is a plugin for Pro or Enterprise that allows you to take unstructured data and make it structured. So if you have emails or documents or anything like that, PDFs, you can scan those in. It automatically looks for the location components of your data. So take like lat longs or coordinate systems or addresses, and can sparse out into a database the readings of that, and looks for the 250 characters before and after that to put into the database. So a great way of automating your process of taking unstructured data into structured data. So some great new tools with Pro that you didn't have access to before. And we're streamlining a lot of this stuff, so you can do address editing even better. You can have templates in here. So we have community addresses and community parcels. So if you want a way to coordinate and aggregate a lot of your parcels across the state, there's tools and solution sets for you to add that information to your desktop and catalog that up. And then this desktop isn't just a standalone desktop. So calling it a desktop is actually probably not even fair anymore, because it's really just a connected application to the rest of the platform. So whether you want to share data or access content or deploy applications, do analysis, share that analysis, you have lots of different ways to publish that out and integrate that with other applications through Pro. And we're adding a lot more data science and spatial analytics to that process, whether you're doing, scatter plot matrix here or 3D analysis, any kind of, we've hosted all of the notebooks, Python notebooks right inside of desktop now. So you have a lot more functionality and accessibility to data science tools inside of Pro. These hosted Python notebooks are actually across the entire platform. So in Arcgis Online, in Enterprise, and in Desktop, we've included Jupyter notebooks inside the product. So you can connect to open source and open science libraries like machine learning libraries, like other Python libraries like Pandas or TensorFlow for machine learning. So all these other libraries are accessible to you with your content that you can build out. And then you can share those. So that's one of the advantages here of having these notebooks in here. So we can configure these notebooks and then share the full notebook across the platform. So you don't have to start from scratch all the time. So that's a really big add-in here, and something to learn about, because really the next generation of GIS includes things like artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning. And this is a great way that you can do clustering or prediction analysis or object detection or identification even faster. And we're seeing interest in this grow exponentially, whether you're doing feature extraction or prediction analysis, or a big one is around object detection, just seeing observations, cataloging them, dashboarding them, and allowing that process to take place. So you don't have to do that manually. And that can be scripted and done that on the fly. So I'm sure there'll be more presentations of this in the future. A great application to kind of take this analysis and do a deeper dive into exploring what's going on with that is using Insights for ArcGIS. This is a new drag and drop application that you can connect to your data, whether it's a big data library, an RDMS like Oracle or SQL, or just an Excel sheet or just one of your map services, that you can take this and you can build out and explore that data into graphs and charts and maps and lists or link analysis or other things, and explore that information. And we're seeing this kind of grow amongst that data science or that analytics library to do a lot of things, especially if you want to do mapping really well. This is a great way of doing data exploration in the map really well, and how you can share those final products. And then story maps is always a popular way of kind of coordinating everything. And I'm using PowerPoint here today, but for most of my presentations now, I'm using a story map to kind of organize that content and deliver it. We're seeing huge growth in the amount of story maps being produced, and the quality of them are even getting better. The new story map builder is 100% mobile optimized, so you can see that on your any of your devices and access that from anywhere. So lots of new updates there for that next generation GIS. And then what we're seeing is just a growth in just all these other kind of IT trends, and there's a ton of them out there, and really GIS kind of applies to a lot of those different things. A couple that I'm really excited about is really this kind of move to a cloud native environment, and looking at the potential that we have for Arcgis Enterprise deployed in a Kubernetes environment and microservices environment to do that auto scaling environment, and then including that with with our IoT and our Internet of Things and SaaS deployments with Arcgis Velocity to really schedule that data and then tell me what the analytics are after I tell you what some of my problems are. So you're really designing analytics around the problems that you have and the data that you have. And that's really the kind of recipe of how you do that. And then how these new tools around AI and machine learning are really getting applied and deployed across the platform. And then there's this other growing piece where we're taking BIM models and which are building information models and SIM models, city information models, and landscape information models, and really kind of building out this realistic digital twin to help use that as a problem solver for the rest of the community. And being able to use that collection of information models and analytics to communicate those problems across your organization and to the public to kind of source solutions for those problems, whether it's a flooding solution or a mitigation problem, whatever that is. You can use these to really be a great communication tool to let people know, hey, this is real. And here's where the problems are, and here's how you can help to do these. I think that's going to be a big step for how we use GIS technology and the combination of all these different things over the next couple of years. So my key takeaways were really looking at these web apps in action and how GIS is being used to help communicate and solve some of the world's biggest problems. We're still seeing a huge growth in the amount of COVID apps being built up and shared out. This new innovation in field work, where we're looking at that kind of operations level access to maps and data collection process and analytics, and how we can use new things like drones out in the field to augment some of our work. And really what we're doing with the next generation desktop GIS, and just really that next connected GIS to solve these world's problems. So that's my time today. Scott, I don't know if you asked any questions through here, but now's the time where I could take any questions or comments that you might have.
Yeah, thank you very much. I do not see any questions listed in here, but like to ask the audience if they have anything. I know this was a lot of information. You can go ahead and type your question in to the box under the questions bar. And while we're waiting for that, Anthony, and this is a lot of information. I want everyone to know this is being recorded, so we will be sharing the information back out to everyone, so you can kind of go back and maybe check on something that sounded interesting to you. So question for you, Anthony, would be, over this period of time that we've been either working from home or working in various remote situations, in working with your customers, what has surprised you the most, whether it be pro or con?
One thing that surprised me the most over just in this connect, I think we're more connected now, which is just kind of crazy. That we're more connected now than ever and accessible now. I've done more video conferences with some of my customers and users than I ever be before. You're doing these videos into people's homes, so you're kind of learning their personal behavior. So I think we're more connected now, which is kind of odd to say since I haven't really seen anybody face to face in a while. So I think that's one thing. I never thought how much I'd miss a hotel. That was something I'm very surprised about, or an airport, or Tallahassee for that matter. So that's surprising. And what's really surprising is just the amount of growth that we've seen over the use of our tools here just in the last 6 months, from a user base and executive interest, and how these things are being used to really kind of help drive decision making at a really high level. You know, in the US, we have over like 400 examples of COVID dashboards being used in state and local government, which is pretty amazing.
It is.
I've had the opportunity to kind of lead some of our state COVID task force work. We cataloged over about 42 states were using Esri as their COVID dashboard, either at health and or emergency management to help solve those problems and kind of tell that story, which is pretty amazing.
Hey, Anthony,
you kind of think about it.
we do have a few more questions, and unfortunately, you know, we don't have enough time to get them all answered. Would you be able to share with everybody? You are right now. So let me point this out. Anthony's email address, apuzzo@esri.com, and then his phone number. I apologize. We are, you know, running out of time. You know, we have to have a hard stop, so the next session could use this. For those who didn't get their questions answered, feel free to just drop them in an email to Anthony, and I know he'd be happy to answer them. Anthony, it's been really a pleasure. I'm sorry, you know, I feel like CNN where, you know, I'm sorry, we have to go to the next thing. But really appreciate it. I think in person, we probably would have been a little different. So really appreciate your participation. It's good to hear you again. And this is a lot of great information that I think is important for our users to be aware of. And again, these are recorded. You should hear from us soon about where to get them, where to find them. We're going to put them up on YouTube soon. So thank you everybody for listening in. And the next session will start at 2 o'clock. Thanks everybody.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye-bye.